Hi.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. Y'all, today we are talking about Twisted Games by Huang. This is the second book in the Twisted series. I read Twisted Love last month and I came on my channel and I raved about it. It wasn't like 5-star, the most amazing book I ever read, but like I thoroughly enjoyed it. It reminded me so much of the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, and I just knew so many of you guys would love it, so I was like, go out, read it. A lot of y'all told me the second book in the series was like so much better and that you were very excited for me to read it, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure it will be, it'll be fine. Y'all, this book was not even in the same stratosphere as Twisted Love. I don't even know where to begin on how good this freaking book was. It was so different than Twisted Love. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself and I need to just backtrack. If you don't know what the Twisted series is about, it's pretty much like a companion novel series about 4 girls in this friend group, and each book focuses on a different one of the girls and a different relationship of sorts that they're having. The first book in the series, Twisted Love, is a brother's best friend forced proximity sort of situation, where this book, so freaking different. So each one of the 4 girls in the friend group that makes up this series, they all went to the same college together. It was called Thayer University. It's like a very prestigious university in the US. This story focuses on Bridget. Bridget attends Thayer University, but she is actually a princess, literally, of this small European country called Eldora. It's obviously a fake country, very Genovia-esque if you've seen the Princess Diaries, which I feel like everybody has. But she's the princess of Eldora, but she's able to not really live in Eldora and is able to kind of like live in the US and pop about because she is not like the crown princess. Her older brother is the next in line for the throne. So because she's not technically like going to be queen, she gets a little more leeway to kind of like do as she pleases. And at the start of this story, technically about halfway through Twisted Love, we see that Bridget, she has a bodyguard that follows her around at all times. Again, she's obviously a princess, and her bodyguard that she's had for the past several years, his wife is having a baby and he needs to go back to Eldora so that he can be with his family. So Bridget is getting a new royal bodyguard, and we get to meet this bodyguard very, very briefly in Twisted Love. I'll get more into this at the end, but even though this is a series, I feel like these books really kind of are standalones. Like there are bits and pieces from Twisted Love that are definitely helpful to have read before you read this book, but honestly, if you haven't read Twisted Love, I don't feel like it's that deep if you just jump straight into this one. But yes, we learn of her new bodyguard. He's this man named Reese Larson, and he is the polar opposite of her other bodyguard. He is young, like mid-30s, very tall, very strong, very ex-Navy SEAL, covered in tattoos. Not bad at all to look at, but he is an absolute pain in Bridget's ass. He is very strict. He is not as easygoing as her former bodyguard. He makes it his mission in life, which he's really supposed to protect her and make sure that she is, you know, being as safe as possible and not doing things that can put her in a bad situation, or a situation where she could be compromised or kidnapped, whatever the case may be. So Bridget and Reese do not get off to a very good start. She pushes his buttons, he pushes her buttons. He's there to protect her, but she makes it as hard as possible. To be fair, like he's a bit like unrealistic in what he wants. Like he would prefer her to like never leave the house ever again, but she is like a very social person. Like she's in college, she has a friend group, like she wants to go out and do things, and he's okay with her doing that, but he needs her to work with him. He needs her to tell him what she's doing because he does his research. He makes sure any room she's gonna be in, he knows every single person that's there, the freaking blueprints of the building. Like he is on his game. But yeah, it's kind of like a roller coaster when Reese becomes Bridget's bodyguard. They seriously can't stand each other over time though, because this story does kind of take place over several years. Eventually they do sort of learn to work with each other, even though they don't necessarily like it and kind of can't stand the other person. And as time goes on, they have to spend a whole lot of time together. They literally live together because he is her bodyguard. They're in a lot of forced proximity type of situations. Things are bound to happen. Feelings are bound to be had, even though it's beyond forbidden. And especially Reese being the person he is, like, the first rule he gives coming into this relationship with her is he's like, I don't care about your personal life. I'm not here to be emotionally attached to you. Like, I am here to protect you, and that is it. Like, I don't get involved in anything further than that. I don't care to hear about anything further than that. Like, the ground rules are set and laid, but over time, they can't help but weasel their way into each other's hearts little by little. And this is all already very forbidden, but it becomes especially forbidden when, and I'm gonna say this, it's not a spoiler because it's literally on the back of the book, and if you read Twisted Love, you find it out, so do not come for me. The whole situation gets a lot more complicated once Bridget's older brother abdicates from the throne. He ends up marrying a girl, or getting into a relationship with a girl that is not royal, which is not allowed. You cannot, in the country of Eldora, become king or queen without being married to someone of like royal or noble birth. So because he's marrying this woman that is not, he has to abdicate the throne, which now means Bridget is the next in line to be queen of Eldora, which therefore means she doesn't get to mess around anymore. She doesn't get any leeway. She has to basically move straight back to Eldora, be a political figure, be involved in aspects of the country. Like, she is the next person to take the throne, and it's like time for her to get her act together. So she doesn't get to have fun times and go out or even think about the idea of having feelings for her bodyguard, because absolutely not. If you've read Twisted Love and you haven't read this yet, you know what I'm saying now when I say that these books are so different from one another. Like, the first book is literally just like a girl in college and like them hanging out, and this is like a literal Princess Diaries in a European country, like queen slash princess, whatever, navigating the political world. Like, it's just so different, but it was so freaking good. Like, the slow burn of this story, just like the build up of tension, the amount of times I was on like the edge of my freaking seat, like digging my nails into my palms, because I was just like, oh my god, it was like so frustrating and so angsty and just like such a like tough situation, but like so scandalous, and it was just so good. Reese is, oh my god, I just adored this book. Like, this was a fat freaking 5 stars for me. I know that the third book in this series just came out like a few weeks ago, and people are loving that one as well, but I'm like, I can't imagine liking one better than this. I actually just started that book yesterday. I'm literally like on the first chapter because I had to jump right into it, and I'm excited for it, but I'm just like, dude, this book was incredible. Just the story itself was so good, but again, the slow burn and then with the eventual like spiciness. I'll tell you guys what, I have read a lot of spicy scenes in my days, and there's a handful that stick out, but if you've read this book, no spoilers, The Library, top 3 easily. Like, that was a lot. But yeah, if you haven't gleaned this yet from what I'm saying, Twisted Games was amazing. I loved it. I said earlier that you don't necessarily have to read Twisted Love, and I still think that, but I'm always going to be a person that advocates for reading the full series. Like, an author knows what they're doing when they write books, when they write a series. Like, they write them in the order they intend you to read them. Twisted Love, I don't think was nearly as good as this book. Still very, very good. Not as good as this one, but I say seriously, just read it, because there are small parts of this book that will be way less confusing and that will just make a lot more sense if you have read that book, especially like one big event that does happen in Twisted Love is very much just like grazed over in the storyline of this book because you've already read it in Twisted Love, and like you can get past it. It won't like ruin the experience or anything if you haven't read it, but I recommend going ahead and reading it. Just do it, I promise. I promise you won't regret it. But yeah, if you guys have read Twisted Games, I would love to hear all your thoughts down below. If you've read Twisted, hey, don't tell me anything, but tell me if you liked it better, just generally your thoughts. I literally can't wait. But yeah, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.